All right, so we have the monster tournament. It starts tomorrow, and I was so busy playing the deep sea 9-hole cup that I was kind of focused on it, and I got into the weekend round, and I didn't have time to record it. I recorded it, but I didn't have time. I was just sitting in my office working on it, playing, recording at posting a video. Didn't have time for that. So I was sitting down in the living room watching TV, playing at the same time, and everything was going really good. Really good. So don't look at hole number 8. So it was I got the first par 4, got the second par 4, picked up the Alvy. All I needed to do was get, at the minimum, just get a birdie. But obviously trying to go for that eagle, and I'd hit that eagle all week long. And my dog jumped in my lap. And no dice. And I actually would have been tied with the person at the top. I don't see that happen very often, but I would have been tied with them. But we're not there anymore. We're on the monster tournament. And the monster tournament is all at Sunshine Glades. So let's go check out Sunshine Glades, hole number 1. Okay, we got to get an eagle on this. We have to. And there are several ways that you can do it. You can start off from the tee. Now, I will tell you, my teammate buddy Kyle got his first hole in one on a par 4 on this hole, and he did it with an Apocalypse, and did a max curl shot. And I will tell you, every single time I've ever tried to do a max curl shot off of this tee, I've clipped these trees over here, and I don't know how he made it through, but he ended up not only making it through, but making a hole in one. But a max curl shot with an APOC typically is bad off of this tee. But you can shoot for this area right here. One bounce here, one bounce getting over, and you can bleed off towards the rough. The important bounce is your second bounce, because you got to get enough of a clearance here so that on the other side, if you're trying to use the arc, I see a lot of people set it up so that it's clear where it's at, and then they put curl on it. Well, when they put curl on it, the ball's not going to go on the inside, and they're too short. So you got to really kind of, if you're going to put curl on it, you got to watch where your second bounce is to make sure that your second bounce can clear the sand. Most people, I think, are going to come at this in Ricky from down here and do a rough bump. And if I remember correctly, there was an adjustment here, and it was, I can't remember how much it was, but there was a very small adjustment that we were doing down here. Very small. But this is definitely the best way, because you have a very legitimate shot at hole in one, and you can take this with a rock if you bring out a big enough ball. And a rock works better than an extra mile down in that area. Just because 2 rings on a rock or 1 ring on an extra mile, and so it's really easy to get yourself in trouble when you're down in that spot. Hole number 2. We have this hole right here. This isn't a, hey, we need to try and get eagle. No, we have to get eagle. I mean, there's some of those holes in the game. This is one of those par 4s. You have to get an eagle, or you just dropped a shot on everybody else in the bracket. This is a absolutely fantastic hole-in-one opportunity here. You can go from this area right here. Now, you can start off on this side, and I believe this is a red line deal here, so that you can either bring out a very small ball so that you can hit it at minimum sniper, or you can bring out a really big ball so that you can hit it with your grizzly or whatever long iron you're using. Preferably one that has lots of ball guide and topspin. You can bounce off of this island and get over, but this is fraught with, there are a lot of things that can go wrong with this. And I see a lot of people who play this hole that play this epic fail. So it's not that you can't make it from over here, but you do have some better options. This being the best. Very hole-in-oneable hole. Very hole-in-oneable. All right. I'm going to play this par 5 different than I've played it in the past. So let's talk about the typical way you'll see people play is playing off of this. And for the longest time, in order to clear and have a much straighter shot into the cup, My goal was to try and get out into these shadows so that I had a nice clean shot coming into it. If you hit over into this area, you open up the possibility for a rough bump, but it's one of those types of rough bumps where, I mean, you can see it. You're hitting on the eye, trying to bring it back around. So if you hit it to the left, you get caught in the deep rough, and you could get caught up in the rough. And if you hit it to the right, it's going to go for a wild ride. So it has to be perfect. But typically, most people are going to play down in this, and they're going to do some combination of that. The one thing that will happen to you the most down here is you'll get in a situation where you're caught on this with your red line. And so your ball's facing out in this direction, and you need a ball with side spin to get around. So either you need to get out farther so you can clear that, or you can try the rough bump. What I'm going to do on this hole, and the last time that we played this in a tournament, the very last time I played it, on hole number whatever it was, and I think it was hole number 18, I brought out a power 5 ball, and I'm not sure if you can do this with headwind. So it's something I'll have to work on this week. But with a power 5 ball, I could reach over into this area. Now, I'm not sure if I was using an extra mile or an apocalypse, but what I did was a rough bump out of this area to bleed forward, and I ended up right here in the middle, and I had a perfect T rough bump coming up to the green. Once again, I was still in my wood range. You're still in your wood range out here, but I had a great look at it with my wood doing that rough bump. And I'm going to try that again because I do like taking rough bumps when they're on this type of setup. And I think we've got a really good shot. Well, I'm going to explore this shot over here. And like I said, I've only taken it a few times, but I'm going to do something different on this hole. Hole number 4. All right. There are numerous ways that you can go at this, and I'll be curious to see, like, look at the green down here. You can see all these little shadow marks. Okay, this side of the green over here has got all these little moguls that come out, and this side of the green, on this side, it's smooth, but on this side, it's a jumbled up mess. So a lot of people will hit over into this area right here and try and do the chip in, which normally, you're in way into your short iron, if not into your wedge. This would be, like a really good spot, but it blows because of these moguls. Now, I did see in one tournament, I'm not sure how long ago on this course, but we did play one tournament on this where they took those moguls out and the whole green was smooth, and it opened this shot up and became a little bit more desirable. In one-on-one play, this is a sniper hole. I lay up to right here, and then you have a rough bump straight to the cup. And it's no fuss, no muss. You don't have to bring out anything big. You can do it with a marlin. Another way that you can play, and the way that I used to play this for quite a while, and then I'm not sure what changed. They tell me that it's changed back and that you can go back and do it, is you can bring out a big topper. Ideally, you don't want to have to do this with overpower. You want to bring out a big enough ball to try and do it where you get your red line down in this area and you got bounce number 1, bounce number 2, bounce number 3, and you're bleeding onto the rough or onto the green, and you're going straight towards the cup, and you're on the smooth side. But something happened down here on this island, and I think you did have to use overpower, and even if you hit a perfect, it could go wonky on you. What I'm going to do here is try and get my red line up into this area. And I think you can do it with a 4 power ball where you don't have to do any overpower. Now you may need to bring out a 5 power ball if we've got a due headwind, just so that you can get on this side. And I do believe I was doing like a plus 10% on my wind adjustment here on the drive. And I was trying to get bounce number 1, bounce number 2 in the rough, and then just bleed out. The problem with this shot is that if you don't get your trajectory right, what'll happen is that you can get 1 bounce in here and everything goes the way you want it. You get 1 bounce, you get 2 bounces, you bleed out of the rough, and guess what you bled out into? You bled out into all these moguls. So you either need to just barely get over, or you need to get enough curl on it so that you can try and go in that direction where you can get on the flat side of the green. It's very easy with this shot to end up overshooting it and ending up on the back side. I've had to take that shot quite a few times where I didn't get my bounces down here quite right, and I ended up actually clearing it and going for a wild ride. But this is definitely a makeable hole, and there's several ways that we can do it. So I'm curious to see how they're going to work the green, whether it's going to be the smooth green or it's going to be the moguled green. This right here is a difficult hole. Now, the thing I don't like about this side over here is if you're trying to find a spot where you're farther than 5 rings away from the sand, it's hard to find that spot over and over again. And so there's not a lot of reference. So you're going out in this direction, you're trying to bring it around. A lot of people are going to take the shot from the sand up here, coming at it, or somewhere along this transitional line right here, trying to bring it around to the cup where your first bounce is here and your second bounce is right in front of the sand. This can get problematic because if you don't hit it perfect, it could easily get caught up in the sand. If you've played this hole very much, you know the deal. If you're trying to go around it like this, and you hit anything to the right, you're in big trouble. I usually play this hole on this side right here. And you can play it with a sniper, you can play it with a guardian. You can try and bring it up to the cup. I'm going to play it with a sniper. And I'm pretty much centered up where my ball guide is, where I'm pretty much dead center in the middle of this little area. And then dialing it up to the cup. I can't remember what my adjustment is. I'll pull up some notes, and when I play the practice round, I'll have some wind stuff from the last few times we've played these holes. Hole number 6, but we do have options. All right, we have several ways that we can play this hole. You can come out here with a big, depending on the way the wind's going, will determine what kind of ball you need. But you can come out into this area here and get your ball out in this direction so that you're coming at it, and you've got several options. You can do a bounce over, you can do a rough bump, or you can use a little backspin and go straight at it. Now, if the wind's blowing like this is probably the way to go. The other thing, and you see most people do it in one-on-one, is they'll hit the ball out into this area, and then they'll do one bounce here, and then they'll go at the cup through in between these bushes. So if the wind was blowing like this might not be a bad spot. What I'm going to do is try and get up into this area so that I have a short iron straight to the cup. Now the thing here is I'll have to look at the distance. In order to get to this spot, it'll probably take at least a 3 power ball. Depending on the wind, it may take a little bit more. And so you're trying to drive down into this area. You got bounce number 1, bounce number 2, and then you're bleeding forward. If you're taking a 3 power ball, I think what can happen if you use a Kingfisher is you can run into, on the second shot, the shot to the cup, you can run into a red line issue where your Kingfisher doesn't have quite enough to get to it. So if you use a Kingfisher, you'll have to take that shot a few times to find out which ball will work better for you. You may have to take a 4 power ball just to make sure that on your second shot, you're in range. Just blowing my nose, not sick, nothing wrong. I'm drinking some coffee at 9 o'clock at night. So the shot that I'm going to take on this is, and I'll probably do this with an extra mile just because of the extra topspin and the ball guide versus an Apocalypse, well, at least an Apocalypse 5. So 1 bounce, 2 bounce, trying to move the ball forward. Power 3, power 4 ball. You can get this done in most cases with a power 3 ball, but it really will depend on how much wind we have or what direction the wind's blowing. Hole number 7, the duck hole. All right. One-on-one play, most people hit it out to here and go into the cup. And there is an adjustment if you're out here going into the cup. I've made this shot several times, but I've never made it like just doing your normal wind adjustment. I can't remember what it is. Once again, I'll look it up. Most people are going to try and go for the green, and they're going to use this little area right here to do it. So depending on what ball you bring out, you're going to be somewhere on that line. It's very easy when you're using this area in here as your landing area. And obviously you want to try and get it forward enough that you can use this area. So it gives you a little teeny bit of wiggle room and maybe it only gives you room on one side, but it will give you a little bit more room depending on what club you're using. From the tee box, let's draw some lines. So flagpole, tee box. This is the area we'd really like to go. Tee box. We extend that line out. We're right in this area right here, and it is super easy in this area to end up going in the drink. So we don't have to pick up a lot of curl, but we have to put some curl on this shot in order to bring it up through the throat. And you can get right up to it. But the key here is bringing out. This area is so damn narrow. If you use any kind of overpower, whether you're using overpower or not using overpower, if you don't hit it perfect, you're in trouble. But if you can bring out a ball that will get you up into this area without having to use any overpower, you're going to be ahead of the game. Because this is definitely a makeable par 4 if we can get this drive where we land here and we end up with some forward movement through that throat. You can get right up to the cup. But this hole can eat your lunch. And all this water that's on the left-hand side is out of bounds. All right, this is another great hole-in-one hole here, and we've got several ways that we can go at it. You see a lot of people on a one-on-one. I see a lot of people bounce off the island. It's very easy to get caught on this hole. Just like talking about one-on-one, it's very easy to get caught on this hole and be in between clubs in all the wrong places. So what I see people do a lot is then they'll push the issue, and what I don't understand is why they don't just move over here to the side and they can use curl to bring it up to the cup. It's not ideal, but it is a way to get around it. So in tournament play, typically what people are going to do is a rough bump. And I believe that we were doing like a plus 10%. It was somewhere in that neighborhood on that rough bump. At least give you a place to start. And then moving forward, you can start off on this side. You can bounce over. But there is a very nice rough bump that's here. And it's a T-type rough bump off the tee box. So you got a pretty good area there, and the sand is pretty flat, so it doesn't really distort the rings. A good area to do a rough bump. Hole number 9. All right. In one-on-one play, I almost always play out to here. And then it's a long shot going around those trees coming in. There really isn't any shot at Albie, but you can pick up, you can play fairway to green and get your eagle and move on to the next hole. And tournament play, we almost always go to this side. And obviously the farther that you can get down here, you know, your line somewhere in here where you're going to be in long iron range, and then from about there forward, you're in wood. So this is wood range out here is what we're going to typically take this with. There's a couple ways to go at it. If you go, I've played the shot where I laid up right here where I really wasn't trying to get that much on the ball. I was kind of like in this area on a regular basis, and yes, sometimes I was in the rough. And what that gives me is a straight in shot with a sniper where I really take all of this stuff out of play, and I can just go right straight towards the cup. If you get farther out here, now you can start to engage this rough area, and you can do a rough bump. Now, if you can get way down there, you can probably bring out a sniper, or if you bring out a really big ball, you could bring out a sniper, but you may have red line issues with the sniper, and you may have to bring out like a guardian or something. You don't need a lot of spin in order to get it out of that rough to get it to the cup. But you're going to see people trying to hit it as far down here as possible, but this area here is going to be really popular. Real popular. You will see a few people during the tournament that are going to play to this side, but really you're not giving yourself a great shot at Albie like you are over here. You got a nice clean shot over here. All right, that is the Sunshine Glades. We do have some opportunities here. Like all the par fours we got, we do have opportunities if we can get them right. We have to get this one. So that makes our minimum score minus 13. This one right here is an awesome opportunity for hole-in-one. All of these par fives, while I've had mixed success on these par fives, we do have great opportunities on all three par fives. This par four here, we have a great opportunity at eagle. Not a gimme, but we have a great opportunity. We have an opportunity for hole-in-one on that hole, but it is tough. And this hole is tough from like the expert or the master's tees. This hole is pretty tough. Another great opportunity right here. This hole right here, we do have a serious opportunity to get Albie. If you can get your ball up into this area, you got a serious chance. Any of the forward, if you're over on this side right here with a long iron, you got a serious chance to get Albie on this hole. Another serious opportunity to get a par or eagle on a par four, but this hole right here could be dangerous. Another good hole-in-one opportunity. Another good Albie opportunity. So we have one hole that we have to pick up, and several that would be nice. So our minimum score is going to be 13, and I think, realistically, we're going to have to pick up at least one other shot. So we want to be looking at some of those par threes and some of those par fives to see where we can increase our odds. I'm like always, I'm really always focused on the par fours. I want to get the par fours down. Those are usually pretty low-hanging fruit, and we'll see how the week goes. Thanks for watching, and good luck in the Monster Tournament.